Hello, is it fixed? Do you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that this is the sixth stream of my suffering, and today it's time for IK8. So far I've done like these things here, and also I did Effect 8, which was embedded inside of the hitbox system. And now I'm going to do IK8, which is kind of similar to Effect 8, but I think it's separate from the hitbox system. Okay, see ya, Bash. Uh, yeah, so let's look at IK8, which is a system which allows you to have like hitboxes that don't hit the enemies, but just detect the fact that you're interacting with an enemy. Oh, there's like a 30-second stream delay. There's no way there's a 30-second stream delay, bro. I'm going to write something and see how much does it take for it to appear on stream. Okay, so like I think the chat is delayed generally. Like even on my OBS, the chat doesn't update instantly. Okay, I'm going to do this and count how much time does it take. Yeah, it's not even 10 seconds. It's like 5-6 seconds maybe. Okay, so yes, I was saying IK8 is about creating hitboxes which don't hit enemies but only detect the fact that you're interacting with an enemy. My problem right now is that I don't see what's the game object that's responsible of IK8. Like, where's the IK8 hitboxes? These are just regular hitboxes, so I don't really get it. Like, I'm assuming this script is like the same as the hitbox script, but like for IK8. Maybe I'm wrong. Mm, Assign an identifier to the IK8 if you want custom logic for different simultaneous. What is this? There's another IK8 script. It's a manager. I think this is like the same, like it's equivalent to the Effect 8 manager, maybe. Mm, like here you have an on trigger enter, so this script has to be attached somewhere. I don't know where. Maybe the thing is that I haven't yet added any IK8 to like the characters, and that's why there are no IK8 hitboxes. But then when did I use this feature? Like, is it some blast that uses it? Maybe I don't remember. Maybe I haven't used the feature at all. I just implemented it, but never actually used it. That's weird, bro. You don't think I will create a feature that I wasn't going to use? I'm trying to think of what move needs to detect an enemy without hitting them. It's like there's no such thing on the first alpha version. Mm, oh, actually, there is like the meteor explosion from Gogeta. Let me look at that. Let's go to the prefabs. Meteor explosion. Oh yeah, IK8, exactly. Here it is. So yeah, the reason Vegeta doesn't have this is because I never used IK8 with him, but if I needed to, I just need to add this structure. So like a parent object with manager and then child objects with the IK8 script. So now let's read the code for this. Well, first I need to have like a category here. This is separate from the hitbox system, so I'm going to make it like IK8 system, and now I need to use like the score. IK8.cs. So let's see. First, we have a bunch of like public variables. First is an ID. So here I set ID 0. I really have to manage manually the IDs. It's a bit weird. Well, actually, yeah, like if I want, this is just like if I want a second IK8, I will like copy paste this one and change the second one to a different ID. Yeah, it makes sense. Mm, then team detection. Okay, yeah. Like I basically copied how this works from LF2. Like you can detect either all, so allies and enemies, or just allies, or just enemies, or or yourself and objects that you have appointed, like spawned yourself. Then there's like what's that? Type detection. Okay, yeah. So 100 means all types, so characters and blasts. 0 means characters. 3 means blasts, and I don't know what. Oh yeah, -3 is continuous blast. It says it here. Okay. So then I need to add this to the documentation. Mm, so we have an ID property. Then we have team detection. I'll just copy this comment. I hate that the format gets copied too. I'll just there is no like way of copy pasting format, so I'll have to change it manually. Then we have type detection. This 100 is all, 0 is object, 3 is black, -3 is continuous black. So Why do I use these weird numbers like 0 and 3? Because on LF2, 0 means character and 3 means blast, basically. That's why. Like, I just copied the numbers from LF2. Okay, then, reference to the team, to the IK8 monitor. I think maybe I should first look at how the monitor is built. So you have ID. Why is there an ID on the monitor? That's weird. You have a target type. Mm, so this kind of looks like these are like the properties of one single IK8. They thought that here I will have like a list of all the IK8s, but it doesn't seem like it. In fixed update, clear the IK8 data. Also, this only like this monitor here only holds one interaction at a time. It's not like the effect 8.1 which manages multiple at a time. And that's weird. Like, why did I only use one? Mm, store IK8 data. So you said the ID, the target type. Mm, mm, I don't know. Maybe this kinda assumes that like two IKA interactions won't happen at the same time or something. I don't know. It's a bit weird, but I guess it works. Like, I don't really think I'm going to use multiple IK8s at the same time, anyways. So it's not a big of a deal. I think I should first of all have the manager. So IK8 manager, and here was the data for one IK8 interaction. At least that's what I think it does. Anyways, if in the end it does a different thing, I'll just update it later on. So it calls the ID, the IPA, the target. So I guess it's like the enemy you hit with it. Well, not enemy, but the object that triggered the event, because it's not necessarily an enemy. And then there's the target type. The target type, yeah, and that's it. Like, that's everything that the manager does. So let's go back to this script, and now we have the on trigger enter. So when the IKA collider collides with anything, what happens? So first we get the target. It says, so int type equals 100. Mm, why? Bro, what? Hard box. You get the hard box from the receiving end, and okay. You also create this one, and if the original one is null, then it means that it was actually a blast hard box. Then if if either of them are not null, so there's actually a hard box you have interacted with, then you take the target. You take a reference to the target, okay? And then if you detect your own box, ignore the detection and don't store anything. Okay, this is like in case your IK8 is detecting yourself, then ignore it. That's important. I'm going to add here your enter. So basically, first of all, first the reference to the target is mm, okay. Then after that, there's the team detection. Okay, then here we do a switch. So if the detected team is 0, what is team 0 actually? Well, team 0 is independent, I guess. So if it's 0, then break, like get out of the switch. If it's 1, bro, what? This switch is kind of weird. Oh, okay, yeah, like the switch is for team detection, not for detected team. Okay, so if you're using the configuration 0, that means that you accept every team, so that's why there's a break. If you are on allies only, then you check if the detected team is the same as your team, and if it is, then you continue. If it's not, then you ignore the interaction. Then this is for enemies, and then case 3 is for yourself and self, really? Mm, but there's literally a thing that returns if you have detected yourself. So, well, I guess this is like for your appointed objects. Like you can't detect yourself because of this line here. You need to update it. Mm, so on the case 3, we take references to the player control, blocks controller, and continuous beam controller. So okay, mm, yeah. If if your controller is a player controller, that means you are type 0. If you're a blast, then you're type 3. If you're a continuous beam, then you're -3. Mm, yeah, and then deduce target type. Okay, so if if you were on either of these 3 cases, then you will end up here. And what happens here is that again it is checked what type are you. So if you're a player, then 0. If you're a blast, then 3. If you're a continuous beam, then -3. And finally, after all of that, if type detection is 100 or type detection equals type, yeah, because like type detection is what types do you want to be able to detect. So if it's 100, then you accept any any type, while if it's a different number than 100, it has to map the exact number. So yeah, if everything is fulfilled, then you store the interaction inside of the store IK8 data, like inside of the IK8 manager, sorry. So yeah, I'm going to add here and the thing activity and this set it's compatible with the detection configuration. Finally, the type of the detected target is checked, and if it is compatible with the type detection duration, then IK8 manager is called is used to store the interaction. I should write what data. Oh, I already wrote it actually. So the IK8 monitor holds the ID, the target, and the target type. Okay. So I guess that's it. Now I'd like to see an example how this works, or maybe even need one. Like this is the worst. Okay, yeah, this Godzilla attack, the meteor explosion. So this has an IK8 because when you spawn this actually falls over the enemy, and in order to make that happen, what happens here is that there's this IK8, which is a pretty big box. So if this box detects an enemy, then the the meteor explosion falls over that enemy. So for that to happen, there's probably something like inside of the state of the basic state of the meteor explosion, there's probably like a reference to the IK8 manager. So whenever this IK8 sends that an interaction has happened to the IK8 manager, then the the state from the meteor explosion will know that. So I'd like to see the script for that. It's probably here on Blast. Mm, or maybe it's on. Yeah, this is actually in the Gogeta folder, which I don't know where it is. Project characters, Gogeta base, Blast. What? This is empty. Maybe it's on the Super Gogeta one. Super Saiyan, blasts, yeah, meteor explosion states, and you have here. This is the flying state. Like the flying state is usually the entry state for the blast. So we can see like actually how does the entry work? Hmm, wait. Okay, yeah. Like when you initialize the state machine for a blast, you just instantly send it to the flying state. So like what's called flying state is just the entry point for blasts. Usually blasts only have the flying state and the destroy state, and that's it. But I could add even more states if I wanted. No, actually there's also the rebound state, which is also a basic state. Okay, so let's look at how the IK8 is used here. Mm, so when we enter the flying state, so we define a vector, and there's a raycast. Okay, this raycast is for making that sure that the meteor explosion is aligned with the ground. Then okay, I kind of don't get this. Like, where's the IK8, bro? Okay, this is actually so weird. Bro, I don't get it. There's like not a single reference to any IK8, but yet this move uses it. Like there's this IK8 here. Mm, and there's not even a single state transition. I'm going to search for IK8 counter here. What? Okay, here. What? Oh, okay, yeah, I see the problem. Like I was looking at the Super Gotita meteor explosion, but that one doesn't use IK8. It's only the base Gotita one which uses it. And for some reason, it's stored here instead of on the Gogeta folder. States fine. Here, there should be something. No, not this, bro. This states fine. Okay, yeah. So, where's the IK8? Where is it, bro? Okay, here. Okay, so we have. There's an IK8 flag. What's. Oh, it's defined here. It's used to apply the IK8 logic once only. Okay. So on fixed update on every frame, you take. Yeah, so this is basically taking on every single frame if the IK8 manager has found a target, and once it does find a target, then it sets the target position to be the position of the enemy, well, no, the target, and then it teleports to that position, and that's it. Like, that's how IK8 works. So I'm going to add a note saying how to use. Note for IK8 usage. Using a schematic that contains the tooling object that contains the IK8 monitor script. Then you add ground game object that contain a trigger collider and IK8 script. Both the player controller and blast controller have a reference to the IK8 monitor already. But that's weird because, well, no, it's not weird actually. Both have a reference to the IK8 monitor already called IK8 man. So, so you can access the instance between the current blast state and check if it has detected any interactions and it access if target related. And that's it. For example, if you are working from base, go see that pt.6. So yeah, I can already say that this category is done. Mm, right, but for what reason is meteor like the base Gogeta meteor explosion here instead of being inside of the Gogeta folder? That's kind of weird. But maybe it is because I wanted it to be like a more general move that other characters can also use. I'm not sure. Well, anyways, let's continue now to the next part, which is going to be very extremely painful, which is beam struggles. So for beam struggles, I need to investigate a bunch of different scripts. What is this? Head hurdle. I didn't remember this script existed. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I have to look at this one and also Hardbox B and then of course the beam struggle, the beam struggle script. And I think also I need to look at the hitbox script. There's probably something about beam struggles here. Struggle, yeah. It would be very epic if I could finish this on today's stream, but that's probably too optimistic. If I finish this today, then I will just skip cutting because, like, I don't need to understand cutting to be honest, because it has no problems. And in order to use it, I can just copy paste code that works from other cutting moves. And then after that, I could look at this part, which is going to be way easier and smoother. So yeah, let's see. My main problem is that I don't know where to start. Like, is Head Hurdbox similar to Hurdbox B? Maybe? Is that possible? Ugh, I don't know. Not really. It's pretty different. I guess I'm going to start with the beam struggle script, maybe. Actually, probably I also need to look at the blast controller. Okay. Yeah, there's some code for struggle here. Is there anything on the blast hit controller? Yeah, of course. There's code for struggle, for beam struggles on every single script, bro. This is so annoying. Well, anyways, I'm going to start with this script because I don't know where to start, so I'll just pick one. So there's a cooldowns dictionary. There's a beam struggles dictionary, which has yet another dictionary inside of it. So this basically stores a int, which is like an ID or something, then a hitbox, and this, which it's just this class facing right and convene. So this stores the facing, and if it's a continuous beam or a regular blast. Okay, this is a routine that probably gets called later in delayed group cleanup. First it waits for a moment, then it looks at the group does not exist, then break. Okay. Then check if there is a blast on either side. Mm, so blast is beam struggles group and beam struggles. Okay, I need to look at this later. But this is so awful. Like this function is called later on, but yet it's defined here in the beginning. Okay, then update velocity function calls to update the velocity of a certain struggle group whenever is needed. New members enter, old members exit, or current members change damage. So here we define one of these dictionaries. So mm, okay, so these are the blasts. So the blasts have like a hitbox. Like the hitbox is the key. That's kind of weird. And then this here is a class which has the facing and the type of blast. So hitbox, facing, and type of blast. Then float, left damage, right damage. Okay, so this is for like making the sum of the total damage of each side. These two are used for checking if either left or right sides are empty. Mm, okay. float speed average equals 0 for it. Okay, so here you go through the blasts. Mm, okay, yeah, so here you just iterate over the dictionary and here you separate the hitbox, the facing, and the type of blast. Then float damage. Okay, you need the hitbox to see what the damage is. Okay, and from there you also access the hit controller, which has the attack. Yeah. So then you have the damage. Then after that, if this is not a continuous beam, so if it's a regular blast, then the speed average, you add to the speed average the last frame. Okay, so what is this property here? Storing the initial velocity. Okay, so last frame move is the initial velocity it had before entering the struggle. And else speed average. Okay, it's the same but for the continuous beam. Okay, so I'm able to understand this function, so I'm going to take a note from it. Then struggle.cs. I'm going to copy this comment. Okay, so let's describe it. Iterate over the block of the struggle group where its entry has includes the hitbox facing direction and the type of blast, point or not. Yeah. And its entry mm, 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 Okay, if left side or right side don't have any blast, then do not apply struggle speed. Start the routine to check again after 0.1 seconds. This is done to give the blasts a bit of time to receive the opposing side before destroying the group. Okay, that's why there's a delayed group cleanup. I'm going to add here that if one of the sides doesn't have blasts, then the group is broken. Then speed average, final speed. Okay, the final speed is calculated from speed average and the relation between like left damage and right damage. And loop again in order to apply the final speed result to its individual blast. Okay, yeah, so like you have now calculated what the speed of all the blasts on the struggle have to be, and now you iterate again over the blasts in order to apply that velocity. So here you apply it, frame, move, mob. After calculating every final speed, it iterate again over the blast and change the velocity of each one of them. There's no mention to struggles on the blast controller, so I'll have to add some mention to it. So if the blast is inside a struggle, the velocity applied will instead be mm, is modified on the installer. Almost. Okay, so here it basically applies the full move or something, and full move equals frame of mode, and frame of mode is frame move unless you're in a struggle group and then the velocity gets controlled by the beam struggle. So yeah, that's how it works. So here I need to make like an arrow. Okay, so I think that's everything for this function. So now we have add beam and remove beam. So add beam will probably get called when a new beam enters the collision. So you have to add here as parameters the group, hitbox, spacing, and this. So basically, if a blast has multiple hitboxes, only one of them will be used for the calculations of the speed of the struggle. So generally, for blasts, I will only use one hitbox. Well, actually, I can use multiple of them, but it's like in order for the beam struggles to work consistently, I need each of them to have like the same damage, which is not a problem. Like I don't see why would I use different damages. So yeah, let's see how this function works. Store the speed at which the blast enters the struggle. This will be the speed used for calculations. Okay, that's great. So here is where the original velocity is stored. The original velocity is stored inside of the what's called the new value. No, that's the most property. Okay, yeah. Then if this group is already registered, no, if it's not already registered, then add the add the thing, like add the this new blast to the group. Well, first you create like a new space inside of the dictionary. No, sorry, like here you create the group. Yeah. And you create this columns dictionary, which I don't know what is it for yet. And you have group, hitbox. Mm. Okay, yeah. So here you like first of all you create the group in case it didn't exist before, and then you add and then you link to the group. And the group wasn't yet created, create it. After that, insert the new link to the group. Then update velocity group. Okay, and that's it for this function. Then we have the remove being one, which will be similar, but we remove one instead of adding. So here you just specify the group and the exact hitbox of the beam. Just remember hitbox, the hitbox of the blast is the key we're using on the dictionary. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward. You just remove it. Just remove the beam from the dictionary and the velocity. I should write here at the beginning about the dictionary because I actually haven't mentioned it. Beginning dictionary stars Butchkowski uh, testing on between No, wait. Mm, dictionary for storing the variable groups is created. The key is an int number corresponding to its variable group ID. The value is another bit whose keys are the hitbox of its blast. It are part of the group and its values are their facing left or right and their type of continuous or not continuous. Mm, okay, and there's also like this cooldowns dictionary, but I don't know what is that for. It's cooldowns for updating stroke speeds when continuous beams increase their damage. Like, oh, maybe it's. I think because like continuous beams, like they change their damage on every frame, like continuously. So this cooldown is probably for like not making a call to the update velocity on every single frame because that will destroy performance. So instead of that, I just add this small cooldown. So it instead of happening on every frame, maybe it happens like on every few frames. Okay, then we have fixed update and manual update velocities. What is that, bro? Manual update velocity. Let's see the fixed update first. So basically, this goes through, iterates over the cooldowns dictionary, and it just decreases the cooldowns. Then you have these manual update velocities. It makes sure the group exists, and then if the cooldown is expired, then you can update the velocity. So why is this called like that? It's kind of weird. I guess this just gets called from like continuous beams whenever they change their attack, you know. Okay, I'm going to add this. Additionally, there's a cooldown for each beam struggle is created. Cooldown stir ensure calls for velocity updating from continuous beams and their long get all offer for and then here at the end I want to add a fixed update and no, actually I'm just going to call the one up velocities group. Just remove it. So here let's check if the cooldown from the group is expired MDTV, then call the complete velocity function and reset the cooldown timer. Timer goes down on every frame from the feed. It's okay, let's see. That's all for this. Well, no, actually, I'm missing the delayed group cleanup. Maybe now I can understand it better. Okay, be right back. Hey, I'm back. So I was looking at this function. I skipped it before, but probably now I can understand it. So what this does is gets the blasts. It iterates over the blasts. Checks if there's a blast on either side. If there's not a single blast on either side, then destroy the group. Okay, so light group moving subroutine, which waits for this amount of seconds, and then checks if the group is ready for individual, meaning that one of the two sides, or even the two of them, have didn't have blasts anymore. It deletes the entry from the struggle. Okay, so that's it for this script. Now, I haven't seen. Oh yeah, here the struggle group of the blasts goes to 0. I should talk about that. Mm, and set the struggle group property of the surviving blasts back to 0 so they recover their. Well, I'm just going to play like that. And now I'm going to look at hardbox and head hardbox, I think. Maybe I'm gonna look at here. Okay, I actually have already looked at this. I already added this part here. I'm going to add like a struggle alert. Then in hit controller, oh, this is the place where the struggle group is at. If it's different than 0, okay. Is this on the fixed update? Yeah, it is. Okay, there's nothing else here which matters about the blast collisions. So the only two scripts left are actually the hardbox B and head hardbox. So I'm pretty confident that I can finish this today. That will be neat. It will be very neat, actually. But bro, this stream is so dead. Like, how can a stream be as dead as this, bro? Okay, first I'll look at Herbox B. Herbox B is like the Herbox script that blasts, like regular blasts use. The ones that you want to be able to get inside of struggles. If you want certain blast to not be able to get inside struggles, then you use a regular Herbox instead of a Herbox B. So we can look at some example to confirm that. So let's think, what's a blast that cannot enter a struggle? For example, meteor explosion. So here, no wait, actually meteor explosion doesn't even have a hardbox. It seems like, yeah, which makes sense. You can't destroy the meteor explosion. And what's a good example? Mm, I actually can't think of any. Maybe I haven't added one yet. Like, does the photon bomber use? the. I think it does, even though it's weird. Let me check on the prefab materials. No, not materials. Resources. Prefabs. Vegeta. Where's Vegeta? Here. Photon bomber. Is this photon bomber? Yeah. No, this actually uses a regular hardbox. So technically, this thing cannot enter a struggle. Mm, technically, I'd like to try it out. Like for comparison, if I look at this ultimate big bang attacks should be the same, yeah. So for comparison, let me look at like a keyboard. So a keyboard uses a hardbox B because it can actually enter struggles. Let me see if the Super Vegeta edit still has bottom bomber. I hope so. Nope, I removed it. Well, doesn't matter, I'll just change the character. Okay, I can't control the Vegeta, bro. I need to control the other one. They can't because I don't know how controls work. Okay, now I control both with the same controls. Hmm, I know how to do this. Okay, this is impossible, bro. Okay, maybe I can. I think I can do it. Yeah, I think I did it, but I didn't see anything. So the trees, bro. Let me destroy the trees. Yeah, I don't have the scope audio activated. Bro, can this tree disappear? I still can't see because of the other tree. Okay, yeah, I don't think it entered a struggle. I'm trying to see if Photon Bomber can enter a big struggle. maybe like I don't think it enters. It's just that there's heat lag when it hits the blast. You know, I don't think it's actually entering the struggle. I'm looking at the stream. Like I don't know if that's a struggle or no. It can't be a struggle because if it was just check the code. Okay, bro. Thanks. Yeah, like technically by the code it should not enter, and I'm just making sure. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not a struggle because like here, like bro, look, like here when it hits the other blast, it gets stuck in the air. If it was a struggle, it will move in a different direction. But since it's getting stuck, this is just hit lag. It's not a struggle, you know. This is just hit lag, bro. Not a struggle. Yo, Laceful. Finally someone, bro. Besides from back. Okay, so definitely it works as intended. I said besides from Bash, bro. Are you deep? Yeah, bro. I have like two modes. Either not streaming like 3 months, or streaming every single day for several hours a day. I have no in between. Yeah, bro. You're grinding. You're maxing out your laziness. Wow, 30 minutes after 2 years. And I reached the 1 year. Okay, so yeah, this script is finished, and now we're at Hardbox B, which, as I was saying before, Hardbox B is for blasts that can enter uh, beam struggles. Okay, bro, let's continue. How was that one in comparison to the last one? Which one was better, bro? What's so funny? Why are you laughing? It was better. Dear content. Okay, bro. If we had like actual audience, we could do a poll right now. It almost sounded like an elephant. Okay, okay. There's just two scripts left for Beam Struggle. So let's go with Hardbox B. Okay, so this part is the only thing that actually appears on the original hardbox, and the rest is different. So we have references to the blast controller, heat controller, continuous beam controller. There's this delayed collider activation, which I don't care about. Like, okay, then start is continuous beam fault. Okay, so this is like just a flag for knowing if this is a continuous beam or not. Then beam struggle. Mm, yeah, bro, nearly done with beam struggle. I think, at least I think that I'm nearly done. Mm, okay, then what is that? Beam struggle equals heat control. Okay, this is just a reference to the beam struggle script. You need to add here the block for this script. Hardbox B. Yeah, bro, I'm grinding so hard. Like, look at all of these things that they wrote. And this is just a summary. Like, there's even more info than this inside of my head. But I'm going to skip the catching system. Okay, like, I don't need to know how the catching system works right now because, like, it just works fine and I don't need to change anything. So I'll just ignore it and keep going with the rest. Okay, so what do we have here? On trigger enter. So what happens when a hardbox B enters a collision with an enemy hitbox? So, oh, actually, this makes me remember that I also need to look at the hitbox script. Struggle. Yeah, there's a bunch of struggle code inside of the hitbox script. Especially this like it's about this out of struggle function, which gets called. Yeah, this gets called when a hitbox finishes an interaction, and okay, I'll leave this for last. Now let's go on with the hardbox B. Yeah, the progress bar got forward yesterday, and today it will get even further beyond. And then here we have hitbox. No, my hitbox team. What is this, bro? So if okay, my hitbox team. What is this? What's even my hitbox, bro? My hitbox. What's my hitbox? What? Oh, I think that my hitbox is actually, bro. This is a bit like not very well done. Like, yeah, for some reason I have to drag the hitbox here, which sucks because that means you can't really have multiple hitboxes. I think, or can you? Well, I mean, you can. Yeah, you can actually. I think. Yeah, you can. Like the one you drag is the one that will get inside of the struggle group. Well, I'll need to add that as a note to not forget it. Okay, so mm, Team detection. If the team is the same, return. In this, if the enemy IDR is from a character and not a blast from a common body, ignore. Okay. Okay, so that's what the Kame body flag is for. This one here. Where is it? Where I can find it. Is it in the hit controller? Nope. Then where is it? What's going on, bro? Oh, it's part of the hitbox. Yeah, so it's this here. So if you turn this on, basically the blast won't get inside of beam struggles, probably. Are they continuous beams or regular beams? What does this comment have to do with anything, bro? This facing right. The properties of the enemy beam, facing direction and continuity. And then yeah, just get those properties. Okay, I need to summarize with this. So first of all, like this is a collision with a different blast. So I need to write this. This is the facing of this blast, and then you have yeah, okay. Otherwise get facing and blast type enemy. Mm, so like if this blast is already in a struggle, then ignore. But why? Okay, yeah, because like if you are already in a struggle, then the enemy blast will join your struggle. Okay, yeah. If your struggle group is no, wait, if you are already in a struggle, then ignore the interaction. The enemy blast will join your group from its purpose this way. I think for making a blast that can enter struggles, we it needs to have a first box B and the is coming body flag turned off. And then for the opposite, confident blast that adjustment enter struggles. Regular hurdles and the Islamic flag body turned on. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So now to get the group from the other. So if the other blast is already on a struggle group, then you get inside of their group. Like calling add beam and changing your struggle group to theirs. If it is 0, then here there's like, this is the calculation on the ID of for a new group, and then add beam hit controller. Okay, so the add beam already creates the group if it doesn't already exist. That's pretty nice. Calculate a new unused group ID and I'll add beam for both this blast and the enemy blast. Okay. So that's it for this script. Now let me look at hitbox. Struggle. So all this script has is calls to this auto struggle function. And what does this do? Function that if the game object is a blast inside a blast struggle, checks if there are any active hits representing opposite blasts of the struggle. If there aren't any more of them, then the blast gets out of the struggle. Okay, yeah, I remember why this exists. I can make a drawing on paint of why this exists. So imagine you have this beam struggle with like imagine something like this, okay? The blue ones are going to the left and the red ones are going to the right, of course. So imagine that now this one here gets destroyed. So after that happens, the beam struggle group still has to exist because these here are interacting, but this one has to go. Okay, this one has to leave the group and keep going. So for that to happen, I need this function here, which basically checks every time an interaction stops, it checks if there are no more blasts opposing it. So let's look at the code. If this is a blast, then int group. Okay, you get the group from the struggle you are on right now. Then if you are on a struggle and you're not a coming one, everybody should not be able to remove the beam from the group. It's only the hit. Okay, yeah. Like if you're the body of a continuous beam, you have to not be able to interact with this logic. Then for its entry in active hits, okay, you iterate over all of the hits this hitbox is hitting right now, and maybe last hit controller. You get a reference to their blast hit controller to check for the group. Okay, yeah. So you basically look if you basically check if any of the enemy hitboxes you're hitting are inside of your group, and if they aren't anymore you're hitting, then you get out of the struggle. If no enemy blasts on the same group have been detected, then delete this blast from the group. Okay. I should write this here on the hitbox system. Okay, here I just wrote haven't read it yet. So now why didn't they leave any space? Now I have to like move all of this. It's pretty annoying. Is it much farther from this part? What? What do you mean, bro? Basically, I think where last is no longer lining with any blast from the store. I'm going to actually adapt this image here. Is it almost over until this part is finished? Mm, if you mean this, like right now I'm here, yeah, like in a few minutes I will finish this part. And then this one I will ignore it and then I'll go on with the rest which are easier. So yeah, I guess I'm close to finishing this part in particular. Okay. Mm, it iterates over the active feed. It iterates over the active hits and checks if any of them are part of the struggle group. They, if there aren't any, then it must leaves the group by calling the remove bin function. So now I want to connect this. But Like generally with the beam struggle category, there is not like a specific. Well, maybe I can connect it to the remove beam function here, like that. But like, what? Why is the arrow coming from down there? Bro, stop trolling. Why is it trolling me? Okay, let me make a new arrow. Okay, now. Yeah. Dang it, the group from last. Did I finish this function? Or what? Yeah, I did it right. Yeah. Now we have the head hard box, I think. Mm, well, actually, like here I wrote this. Like I added this image, but it's not like this is generally for getting out of struggles, like every single time, not only like in this particular situation. Okay, yeah. So like I'm going to then change this to leaving beam struggles. Just like this is the function that makes a blast leave the the thing, the collision. And yeah, like this is both for regular and so apply both regular and continuous. Yes. Mm, I think the only thing left is get hardbox.cs. Like for leaving the struggle, this function is common to every type of blasts. Then for entering the struggles, for regular blasts, you will use hardbox B, which basically like it detects the other like the enemy blast group, and depending on the enemy group, like it either joins the enemy group or creates a new group. And then I guess head hurtbox is the exact same but for continuous beams. So let's read it. I hope the logic is basically the same, but with some little changes. I really hope so, so that I can finish already. So let's see first. What? Is there a dictionary here, bro? I don't like this at all. Mm, so you have my collider, which I guess is the hitbox. Continuous beam controller, hit controller, head hit. No, actually, wait, what? Oh, this is the reference to the hitbox script, and this is the reference to the actual collider. Then original constraints. What? Well, there's so much weird stuff on here. Head total damage. Oh, wait. Reset references on the start. Head total damage is the damage times the hit controller attack. Mm, okay. And original constraints on trigger enter. So you get the other hitbox, you get the reference to the attacker, and if the enemy is not a character and it's not inside of the dictionary, then add to the dictionary the date of the enemy that you just hit. So you add the attacker, like you add the blast and the hitbox in blast collider. Mm, and then you call the update velocity function, of course. Wait, what? This function is actually empty. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, it actually doesn't matter. Like, yeah, here I'm not even creating a group or anything. Like, why is there no group join, bro? This is so random. Are there any? Bro, there's literally not a single. Okay, maybe this is not something that I use. Let me look at the. Maybe it's like a deprecated script. Let's look at the Kamehameha prefab. Let's look at the head. Yeah, okay. This is not a script that I should care about. I don't use it. Like, the head actually just uses a hardbox B, and that's it. Yeah, okay. Then I can just ignore this one. Apparently, this is something I was using before, but I do not use anymore. That's why it looks so weird in comparison. Okay, goodbye. I don't care about that script. Then that means that I'm done with this, I guess. I just want to look at something, and that's like the blast continuous blast controller. Because yeah, here when you change the damage of the blast, this function gets called, which makes sense. So I'm going to like make an arrow from here to here. think. Oh, actually, it should point here instead. Okay, and I guess that's it, right? So let's summarize it like verbally. So, mm, first of all, there's like I just want to make sure I understand how blasts enter a struggle and how they leave it. So for entering, all of that happens on the hardbox B script. So this hardbox script detects the enemy hitbox and it checks if the enemy is already in a struggle. If it is, then it joins the same group. If it's not, then it creates a new group. And then the enemy blast will also detect your blast and it will do the same. So both of you will end up on the same group. And then once you are on the group, then you come here to the beam struggle thing, beam struggle manager, let's say. And here there's like the update velocity function, which gets called every time a beam is added or removed. So when the blasts enter, like here when that beam is called, also the velocity of the whole group will get updated. And also if it is a beam struggle, if it's a continuous beam what has entered the struggle, then every time you press attack to increase the damage of your blast of the Kamehameha, then this manual update velocities will get called, which will update continuously the state of the struggle depending on how hard you press. Mm, and yeah, that's it. And then for leaving the struggle, you use the hitbox script. Okay, so I'm going to write an extremely summarized summary. Summarized summary. So for entering the struggle, what B is always next to the group the enemy blast and it joins it or either joins it or creates a new group. The enemy blast will be the same with their box B. Inside the struggle, the velocity will get called every time blast. No, every time someone, some blood enters or leaves the group, or whenever a continuous blood reaches its target. For leaving a struggle, the hitbox takes the hitbox of blast takes every time operation ends if there are any active hits left from the last on the same smoke. There aren't then a few is left. Its function in the frame move every member of the okay. So yeah, that's it. There's only one thing which I want to understand, and it's like how does the character interact with the continuous being, like the thing where you press the attack key very fast. How does that work? Because like here on continuous beam controller, you have the increased damage function. So this is what gets called when your character presses attack. But the thing that I don't understand is how that connection happens. Like, how does your character know that they are like using a continuous beam and they are inside a beam struggle? So to do that, I'm going to look at Gogeta's states. Kame, maybe it's probably around here. Okay, yeah, like there's some weird stuff going on here because like what I do for the character to get a reference of the continuous beam he's shooting, what I do is I just get the reference from the last appointed object property from the controller. But the problem is that when you're shooting a Kamehameha, you're actually appointing different elements. You have the Kame start, which is like the effect that appears on the start, and then you have the Kamehameha instead, which is the thing you want to get the reference to. So that's why there are some weird stuffs here, but generally, like you get the reference from there, and then okay, yeah, this is the part that matters. When you're on the Kame hold animation of the character, and if your continuous beam is inside of a struggle, then you can press the attack button, the punch button, and every time you press it, the increased damage function gets called. Okay. So I'm going to add here a note on no. So how does the character interact with their continuous being? State may use the last appointed object property with a reference to the data field. After that, it gets like if the beam is inside a beam struggle, and if it is, then you can press no, then the increased damage function from the front game controller is called every time you press the punch button, and that's it. So here I need to use an arrow to this part. These arrows look so bad, man. They're so ugly. They don't care because they do the trick. Okay, so I've officially finished the beam struggles part, which is so epic. How much time have I streamed for? 2 hours, bro. What? Okay, so next thing I'll do is look at all of this stuff here. Mm, let me delete this default mostly. So yeah, I'm going to just skip the cutting system. I think I'm going to leave camera movement for last because I have some pretty neat ideas for the camera. So I'm going to list it here. Aura system. The auras are kinda weird, to be honest. Like, there are some stuff that they could just skip, to be honest. For now, at least. I'll just leave them here without greening them like that. So my future self knows that these things have not been documented yet. So whenever I need to look at something specific, I can know if I have already written documentation for that or not. Okay, then there's all of the singleton stuff. All of this, I have to look at them like at the same time. There's a menu system, player spawning, joining, and control assignment, the BFX system, scene management. Okay, so I have to decide what will I do next. I'm pretty sure I'm going to skip the aura system because it was kind of confusing. Maybe I should look into a singleton because it has the appoint, and the appoint is pretty important. I'll definitely leave the menu for last. Well, not last, but before the camera movement. Mm, in the BFX system, I don't know. Maybe I could look at it before. Yeah, I think I'll look at it before because like it's part of all of the blasts. And yeah, that's it. I think this order is pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to finish the stream already, and tomorrow I'll start with the BFX system, which will be pretty fast. So I'll get to this part on the same stream. So yeah, goodbye. This was a pretty dead stream, but well, at least I made a lot of progress. So see you next time, which will probably be tomorrow. Goodbye.